This may cause me to continue this after the bottom of the hour, but we were asked a question the other night, and I take your questions very, very seriously. Exactly what is in this HR1, SR1 voting proposal that everybody's so upset about, that Pelosi's pushing hard, that the Democrats want to put in place? What's the big deal? I want to discuss this with you because I have talked about this subject probably a little too broadly, but now let's get into some of the details. And we'll do that with the help of our friends at the Heritage Foundation. HR1 would federalize and micromanage the election process administered by the states, imposing unnecessary, unwise, worse than that, and unconstitutional mandates on the states and reversing the decentralization of the American election process, which is essential to protection of our liberty and freedom. It would implement nationwide the worst changes in election rules that occurred during the 2020 election and go even further in eroding and eliminating basic security protocols that states have in place. You're not going to believe this as I get into this. So let's take a look. What would it do? Seize the authority of states to regulate voter registration and the voting process by forcing states, ready, to implement early voting, automatic voter registration, same-day voter registration, online voter registration, and no-fault absentee balloting. So there you go. Fraud up the wazoo. Right New York Times, right Washington Post, fraud up the wazoo. No advanced society votes like this. In fact, no third world society votes like this. So you might as well abolish the vote. So they're going to disenfranchise us. That's what they're going to do. Make it easier to commit fraud and promote chaos at the polls through same-day registration, as election officials would not have time to verify the accuracy of voter registration information and the eligibility of an individual to vote, and could not anticipate the number of ballots and precinct workers that would be needed at specific polling locations. Again, Cloward and Piven, two radical Marxist professors who wanted to bring down this society. One of them is now gone. One of them is still with us. Flood the field, flood the system, overwhelm the system cracks. Then blame the system and step in and take over. What else would it do? It would hurt voter turnout through 15 days of mandated early voting. Mandated early voting. By diffusing the intensity of get-out-the-vote efforts, it would raise the cost of campaigns. Voters who vote early, of course, don't have the same information on Election Day. For instance, let me give you an example. Let's say you have early voting in New York, which you do, and all these schlubs vote for Andrew Cuomo. And then all of a sudden it comes out he's been molesting his staff. Too late, you already voted. Well, I want to take it back. Too damn late. What else would it do? Degrade the accuracy, and this is all intentional, of registration lists by requiring states to automatically, ready, register all individuals, not citizens, all individuals from state and federal databases, such as the State Department's motor vehicles. I don't know. When I'm relying on integrity, that's where I go, Mr. Producer. Corrections and welfare offices, federal agencies such as the Social Security Administration, Department of Labor, the Federal Bureau of Prisons, the CDC. This would register large numbers of ineligible voters, including aliens, and cause multiple or duplicate registrations of the same individuals, and put federal agencies in charge of determining a person's domicile for voting purposes, as well as that individual's taxing state. So in other words, you're on a DMV list, right? You're on a Social Security list if you pay into Social Security. Let's say you're getting Medicare or Medicaid. You're on 3 lists. More, constitute a recipe for massive voter registration fraud by hackers and cyber criminals through online voter registration that is not tied to an existing state record, such as a driver's license. This is why the media do not want you to talk about voter fraud. Because remember, the media are not journalists. They're corrupt. They're Democrats. There's not a dime's worth of difference. There is no room between the Democrat Party and the media on any issue, on any candidate. Now listen to this. It would make it a criminal offense for a state official to reject a voter registration application, even when it is rejected under color of law, because the official believes the individual is ineligible to vote. So anybody who claims the right to vote is going to get the vote. Nobody's going to put themselves at criminal risk. It would also require states to allow, ready, 16 and 17-year-olds to register. So when combined with a ban on voter ID and restrictions on the ability to challenge the eligibility of a voter, plus same-day registration or online registration, this would effectively ensure that underage individuals could vote with impunity. Aliens, underage individuals, multiple voting. It's as if the Democrat Party sat down, went through all the integrity aspects built into the state laws, one after the other, and then drew up a bill to get rid of all of them. Why are they doing this? Why do you think? They're tyrants. What else would it do? Any Democrat, some of you folks live in these districts where you have, like this guy in northern Gasheimer, or whatever his name is. He votes for $1.9 trillion. He's bought and paid for by the teachers union. He votes for all this crap, and then he pretends he's a moderate when he goes, I'm actually a moderate. Votes for impeachment twice. I'm really a moderate up here. My name is Josh, and you can know me. Yes, I'm part of the committee to get things done here. The committee for Republican, Democrat, and Independent. Oh yes, he's a liberal hack. Let me continue, shall I? The law would require states to count ballots cast by voters outside of their assigned precincts, overriding the precinct system used by almost all states that allows election officials to monitor votes, staff polling places, provide enough ballots, and prevent election fraud. So in other words, you go to the town next door and you say, hey, I'm Ernie Gravatsky. I'm here to vote. You're not on our list. Excuse me, are you challenging me? No, please, don't report me. Mandate no-fault absentee ballots, which are the tool of choice for voter thieves. It would ban witness signature or notarization requirements all over the country for absentee ballots. It would force states to accept absentee ballots received up to 10 days after the election, as long as they're postmarked by Election Day. Oh, wow, that'll be cool. And require states to allow vote trafficking. We call this vote harvesting. So that any third parties, including campaign staffers and political consultants, can pick up and deliver absentee ballots. See what I mean? They've gone through every single safeguard, rail guard, and have destroyed them. This is a corrupt, diabolical, evil political party, the Democrat Party. They've done enormous damage to this country. Slavery, segregation, now Marxism, now this. Am I right, New York Slimes and Washington Compost? Are you awake? Are you out there? Huh? You slept through the Holocaust. I just want to make sure you're awake. Prevent election officials from checking the eligibility and qualifications of voters and removing ineligible voters. Preventing them from doing it. Preventing them. Ban state voter ID laws, period. No voter ID laws. And there's more. This is what the Democrats are voting for, including the so-called You need to kick their ass out. If you live in a Republican area and you let one of these fools in there, shame on you. They are destroying the country. We need to take the House, take the Senate, take the presidency, and put these fools back in their ideological box. I'll be right back. There's one other point I wanted to mention to you just to show how Soviet-like this is. Because this isn't election reform or anything of the sort. This is an effort to destroy completely, utterly, and comprehensively our electoral process. That's what it is. And you should oppose it, and oppose it openly. and without equivocation and without apology, because they'll obviously wrap this in race. It's what they do. They use black people, brown people, yellow people, and red people. They use all kinds of minorities to advance their totalitarian ideology. And that's exactly what it is. But I want you to listen to this provision. This law would establish a, quote, commission to protect democratic institutions. That sounds like something Maduro in Venezuela might set up. You know, it's like the opposite of what it actually does, but I want you to hear this. It defines democratic institutions as those that are, quote, essential to ensuring an independent judiciary, free and fair elections, and the rule of law, unquote. Oh, okay. What else? The commission will be given the authority to compel judges to testify and justify their legal decisions, compel judges, I guess with subpoenas, to testify and justify their legal decisions in the courtroom, threatening their independent judgment and subjecting them to political pressure and harassment. So in other words, you go to a federal judge, maybe a state judge, you challenge the authority of the bill, or you challenge something that took place in the election, and this commission has the authority to yank that judge in front of the commission and demand answers from the judge. Oh, and it does one other thing. Listen to this. Listen to the fascism behind what the Democrats are doing. Fascism. Got that, New York Times and Washington Post? You know how to spell it? Well, spell it. You bastards sit there, you let this happen because you're partisan hacks when you should be doing headline after headline condemning this? They would limit access to federal courts for anyone challenging this law. In other words, they would deny you due process. They would limit access to federal courts for anyone challenging this law. The bill would prohibit the filing of any lawsuits challenging the constitutionality of HR1 anywhere except in the District Court for the District of Columbia, because they are loaded with Democrat judges, and would allow the court to order all plaintiffs and interveners all over the country, all 50 states, regardless of their number, to file joint papers or to be represented by a single attorney at oral argument, severely limiting the legal representation and due process rights of the challengers. You see, they know what they do legally. They cherry pick, forum shop, courtrooms, judges, and maybe they'll bring 25 cases in 25 different judicial districts of the country. And maybe they'll lose 20 of them, but they'll win 5 of them. And then they'll get one knucklehead on the court in black robes, so he must be Your Honor, to issue a nationwide injunction. Well, they do not want their tactics used against them. That's why they put this in here. This is a vile, cancerous effort to destroy the electorate and to destroy the franchise. And yes, they will abuse minorities. They will use their names in order to advance this cause for the left. For the left. Now you know what's in this bill. And I want to strongly encourage you to call your member of the Senate, because this is going to go through the House. I want you to call your senator. I don't care if they're a Democrat or a Republican. I want you to do it civilly and politely and make it abundantly clear that if they vote for anything like this, that you will not only vote against them, you will campaign against them. You will donate money to stop them. Because this has nothing to do with the title of the bill, For the People Act of 2021. This is the Destroy America Act. That's all it is. It is a power grab for the Democrat Party. And if we don't stand up to this, we don't stand up to anything. We have no hope. This would take the state legislatures out of the picture completely. In fact, this would eliminate the involvement of the states, period. This turns on its head the entire operation of the federal vis-a-vis state governments, the entire purpose for our constitutional order, the entire purpose for our Constitution. The Constitution doesn't give the federal government plenary power. If it has a foothold in a particular issue, therefore it can take over the entire issue. That's not what it says. In fact, if you read the Constitution, it goes on and on about the specific powers of this branch or that branch, and then leaves the rest of the powers to the states and the people. Well, guess what? The Democrats don't want to leave power to the states and the people. The Democrats do not care about this country. They care about their party. I'm not talking about rank and file Democrats, unless, of course, you vote for them, then you're joining in. But clearly, the leadership of the Democrat Party, its functionaries, its surrogates, its media fronts, all of them, they don't give a flying crap about this country, its history, its purpose, its principles. They're living high off the hog, high off of what you produce, off of your labor. They produce nothing. Bernie Sanders hasn't produced a damn thing in his life. Neither is Joe Biden. Neither have the newsrooms across this country. They don't give a crap about this country. It's all about power politics, and the Democrat Party. This will ensure the Democrat Party runs the country forever. Forever. And there'll be no ability to push back. None. None. This is a grave threat to the Republic. I want those of you who have House members who are Democrats, who campaign in your communities and tell you they're moderates, you know, they really don't agree with the radicalism of Ayach and Omar Tlaib and Presley and Pelosi. Put them to the test. They just, all but two, voted for the $2 trillion boondoggle. They voted to impeach President Trump twice. And they're going to vote for this HR1. These aren't moderates. These are radical crackpots who lied to you to get your vote. In these marginally Republican districts, they lied to you to get these votes. We have to take this very, very seriously. There's only so many ways we can influence this government. And those ways are receding as they draw more and more power into the central government. This is one of the reasons why when Joe Biden signs executive orders violating the Constitution's separation of powers, he's also making it impossible for you to have any say in your government. You can call your member of the House, you can call your senator, doesn't matter. Joe Biden just signed an executive order. Doesn't matter. The bureaucracy is going to regulate. The bureaucracy is immune from the popular will of the people, and so are executive orders. There's a legislative process where the people are supposed to know what's going on at the front end, how it works through the process, so we can have an impact. We can have input. We have no impact. We have no input. They're denying us our government. They're denying us our republic. And then when things are required to go through the treaty clause where they need 67 votes of the senators present, or two-thirds of the senators present, I should say, in the Senate, what do? They go around the Senate and they do the Iran deal. They go around the Senate and they do the Paris Agreement. But because they know they're not going to get the votes, because they know once these issues are understood by the American people, no thanks to the media, but once the American people understand it, the American people reject Marxism. They reject selling out their sovereignty. They reject the inability to affect these governmental decisions when they're made in other capitals, foreign capitals, or their own capital for that matter. Joe Biden never ran on an open border. He lied. Joe Biden never ran that he would shut down oil pipelines. He lied. Joe Biden never ran on destroying girls' high school sports. He lied. Unbelievable. And just to show you how the media are, they not only cover this all up, they don't dig into any of it. Let me ask you a question. It's a footnote, but it's important. If Donald Trump's son, Don Jr., or Eric, were under active criminal investigation, wouldn't there be leaks by now, Mr. Producer? Wouldn't we be reading about it in the newspaper, connecting the dots? Secret sealed indictments, all kinds of speculation out there. Oh, my God, it might lead all the way up to the President of the United States. This might be his downfall. Oh, yes, maybe he'll have to be subpoenaed to testify. What will he do? Nothing. Not a word. We have no idea. Isn't that fascinating? Nothing. Silence. I'll be right back.
Mark Levin.